feel like this is what I thought Moonlight would be. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. You're watching Watch This, where I discuss film, TV reviews, and also screenwriting tips for new writers. So today, if you would like to know my review, my feelings, my thoughts on the film B-Boy Blues, stay tuned. B-Boy Blues, the film, earlier this year I did a TBR video on just a few of the books that I wanted to read this year on my other channel, and I'll link those below. That channel is designated for like style and like things of the art, but just not, it is not a full niche channel. Like this is directly for film, television, and screenwriting tips. But I'll link that below, and also that TBR. But I talked about how I was going to read B-Boy Blues. This is B-Boy Blues, the novel written by James Earl Hardy, and I talked about how I was going to read this book. Now I started to read this book. You can see here I started, but I noticed that they had a audiobook that was going to come out like in the summer. So I already purchased the book, and then I also pre-ordered the audiobook. Then I started to listen to another audiobook, which was Viola Davis audiobook, and about time I was finished that, the audiobook for B-Boy Blues was available. So I immediately was like, okay, I'm gonna listen. I'll just listen, because I was very busy and I couldn't kind of read the book. So I listened to the audiobook, and I have to say, I highly recommend checking out that audiobook. It was actually very beautifully read. So the audiobook is being read by Damone Williams. I believe that's how you say his name. He did a phenomenal job. I even looked him up to see what was he in. I looked him up, and I even saw like a YouTube video of him just saying that he got accepted into a drama school or whatever, so like an acting program, which was really cool. But that was like years ago that he still had up. But Damone, I think that's how you say, or Damone probably, he did a phenomenal job. And after listening to the audiobook, I was like, I have to watch this film. So I got a subscription of BT Plus, and I watched the film. Now I feel like a lot of the reviews, so let's look at the reviews for B-Boy Blues. Okay, so it has 3 stars on IMDb. I don't know, but I was looking at some of the reviews, and I was just like, I feel like people are reviewing this movie off of the drama that's going on in Jussie Smollett's personal life, and I don't think that that's fair. But I watched this film, so just going off of the trailer and the premise, B-Boy Blues follows Mitchell Crawford, who is an editor. He works for a magazine company, and he basically gets a package one day from a messenger. And because in New York, this is something that is still a big thing. Like when I worked in corporate America in New York, a lot of people would have bike messengers, like that will pick up things. Everything is not always done through a vehicle, because of course there's a lot of traffic going on. So they still have like bike messengers even to this day. I don't know if that's just a New York thing or if they do that other places, but that is still something that, like, up until like I would say 2010, like when I was in New York and working, that was something that they would do. The film is set in modern time. The book is set in 90s, and I was curious. I was like, I don't know how they're going to, are they going to be able to pull this off, because the book is very good. The book is phenomenal. They were able to pull it off, and I was nervous because I'm gonna be honest, True to the Game is like one of my favorite books that I read growing up. as a teenager, and when I watched the film, I was very disappointed in just the film, because I was, for this reason where I was like, I don't think that they're going to be able to pull this off, because True to the Game is a period piece similar to B-Boy Blues. B-Boy Blues is set in the 90s. True to the Game is set in the 80s. And I was like, I don't think that they're going to be able to pull this off. And it's not because you can't do it. It's because some people, I don't know, it's just like, it's just not. But they were able to pull it off. Everything from just really showcasing a beautiful love story between two black men, and doing it in modern time. It was very beautifully done. There was one sex scene in this entire film, and I am someone who, I don't like unnecessary sex scenes, and when I tell you this was not an unnecessary sex scene, Jussie Smollett did a very great job. There was silhouettes, there was shadows, there was a lot of playing with like blue tone. Even we see that in the trailer, and we also see that in the actual film poster, that there's a lot of blue in the poster. But that was, it was almost as if it was like a midnight blue tone during the love scene, and it was just like shadows, silhouettes. We saw reflections played with in the mirror. It was just very sensual, and it reminded me of the scene in Love Jones, when the first time that I was about to call her Bird. the first time Nina and Darius made love for the first time. It reminded me of that. It was very beautifully done. You could see the flickering of candle lights. Like, it was just like very sensual, and I think that this was very much a beautiful love story. Another thing that was very beautiful and that it really did a great job of showcasing is that the friendship dynamics between black queer men. A lot of times, like, especially things that we see on on social media, we'll always see like queer black men fighting, like even with like some of the reality shows or things like that, or like the cattiness or things like that. But it really showed the dynamic between Mitchell and his best friends, which was Eugene, his other best friend BD, and his partner Babyface. So just like the camaraderie and just like the loving and the conversations that they would have. And then on a spectrum of like between Mitchell's partner at the time, Raheem, his friendships with Angel was one of his best friends, and then also his other best friend, which was DC, which was like, it showed that these two men, they have really great friendships with their friends, and they're different ways that they celebrate their friends. They interact differently, their conversations are different, but they still have love for each other. It's just shown in a different way. I really enjoyed that. I also enjoyed the way that this was entitled to be a love story. We're really coming to an understanding of Mitchell really putting away just his idea of what his partner should look like, and that idea of a b-boy not being able to be a partner. So Mitchell, of course, I said he's an editor. Without giving away too much, it's a very general review. He's an editor. He meets a messenger. So already they're in different classes. When we see Mitchell at his apartment, he has a very nicely furnished apartment. You know, he's doing things for himself. Even his prior boyfriend, Livingston, we open up and see like how he has like a yacht and all this other stuff. He's making over 6 figures, things like that. And he's like, he has an assistant. It's just like class wise they were, you know, I would want to say like middle class, maybe corporate middle class kind of. They were doing really well for themselves. I would say probably like middle class, versus Raheem, where we never seen his apartment, which means he probably lived with his mother. The dynamic of like, he not really wanting to take him seriously because of his age. He's only in his young 20s. He doesn't really have a fully stable career, things like that. So he's like, I can't be in love with him. He's a b-boy and he's 20 something and he's a messenger and things like that. So coming to the idea of like putting those things to the side, if someone makes you feel good, if you are developing a great relationship with them, why can't this person grow? And we even saw a moment where this was in the book and it was also in the film, where Mitchell was having a conversation with Raheem, aka Pookie, and he just basically was telling him like, you know, you are very talented. Why don't you take this talent and move in this way? I'm not going to say exactly what the talent is because I want to, you know, you to watch the film and I don't want to give any spoilers away. But the specific gift that he was very talented at, he was like, you can do this with this and you can do that. He's like, really, you think so? And it's like, you having someone in your corner like that, he can probably be the inspiration for him to start to move in a different career path. So I felt like he started to see that. It also showcased the toxic traits of any relationship, of the things that you go through with jealousy, and then also misogyny. Misogyny, and how sometimes men think that they can kind of do whatever they want, but then when you kind of entertain or do the similar things that they do, then they lose their damn mind. And it's like, but you just, and I was like, it doesn't even matter if this was a heterosexual relationship, if this was a queer relationship, non-binary, whatever. I guess it would be different in a non-binary relationship, but it is the same energy and it's like the same toxic traits. And just seeing that, the only thing I would say that I wish that they expanded on was two things. In this film, Gene, which was Mitchell's best friend, he really seemed like a hater. Like he was being a great friend, and I understood that because I read the book and I understood the backstory. They did not go into depth about why Gene was the way he was when it came into relationships. Gene never wanted to be in a relationship. His whole motto was like, I'm a sleep with you, and then when you start to catch feelings, I'm a dip. And I felt like them showcasing why he was like that, which it was a specific reason, and the reason was messed up, and I really wish that they would have really touched base on that in the film, and then also touch base with another relationship. They briefly showed it and mentioned it, but I really wish they would have kind of showcased that relationship more between Gene and Carl. But Gene was looking like a hater, and Gene was not a hater. He just was a very protective friend, and that was the only thing I wish they would have gave a little bit more backstory. The second thing that I wish they would have implemented in this film was being a black man, a black queer man in corporate America, and really trying to like move up, and how that kind of, the different things that you kind of go through. Now, yes, this was set in the 90s, but I was reading this book and I'm like, I'm going through half of this stuff. Like, I'm going through half of this stuff now. Like, this is very relevant, and I understand that they just wanted this to be about the love story, the friendships, showcasing love within friendships, showcasing love between a relationship, an intimate relationship. But I really wish they would have touched base on that. They did showcase Mitchell being at work and having to like present a huge shoot. Which another thing in this, there was 4 celebrities that was supposed to be in this scene, and they were giving they said the celebrity's name, I'm not gonna say their name, and then they showed the back of these women to make it seem like it was them. And I was like, girl, we like this could have been done a little better, because I was like, this don't even look like them, even from the back. Boo, this, y'all could have did this a little better. But other than that, like, oh my goodness, it was also one scene in the book about a young black peer that was working with Mitchell, and I really wish they would have showcased on that, but I feel like they didn't want, that's a whole nother kind of side story, so they probably didn't want to do that. But overall, like, oh my goodness, this, I really think that this was a very beautiful love story. Very beautiful love story. It had toxic moments, but it had very sensual moments. It really showcased, especially like when you're trying to fight love, like you just think you're here to have a good time, and then you're easily seeing that this person means something to me, so why don't I just allow this person to be that? Why am I allowing these rules or a list, or just different labels kind of dictate how I move in my relationship? So yeah, I highly recommend checking out B-Boy Blues. Like I said, I don't think that a lot of the reviews did it justice. Some of the reviews underneath the trailer, if you watch the trailer and you look at the reviews on YouTube, I feel like some of them really kind of was honest about like, oh, how they felt about the film, and then others is just like talking about the trial and all that other stuff. Like, I think that this was a really great indie film. If you like indie films, if you like romantic films with a little bit of drama, like, I really felt like they did a really great job of doing the adaptation of B-Boy Blues, which was a phenomenal book. I highly recommend. If you don't even want to like fully just read, if you just don't have the time to read, check out the audiobook. The audiobook is phenomenal. And I really think they did a great job, and it sucks because I really wish this could have been in theaters. Yeah, I would pay to watch this in a theater after watching it. I actually watched it a few times. I think I watched it twice. Yeah, I think I watched it twice. I watched it a few times, and it was really good. I liked it. This was something that I can watch over and over. I think that the way, I feel like this is what I thought Moonlight would be. I thought this was what Moonlight was going to be, about a love story. Moonlight was a coming to age story about a young boy trying to figure out these feelings that he has. B-Boy Blues is two men that know the feelings that they have. They're embracing it, and they're trying to figure out things as well, but it's different. They fully know that this is who they are. Mitchell is more so unapologetically a queer black man, and you see Raheem, who is also, he's unapologetically who he is, but he just does not like labels. And he even references something else. He says a phrase, I'm not gonna repeat it, but he says something about not wanting to be boxed and not wanting to have to do certain things just to prove that he is who he is. He's just, his actions show who he is, and I think that that was very valid. But it is a really great film, really great indie film. I highly recommend. So yeah, that was kind of my review on B-Boy Blues. I know that was kind of big, but I really want you to kind of check it out for yourself, and also check out the book as well. Check out the book as well, or the audiobook, which is really good as well, because it is more stories like this should be told, because I think that it was just beautifully done. But yeah, so that was my review on B-Boy Blues. Please like and comment down below if you checked out the film, if you're going to check it out. Also, please, if you like this video, please don't be afraid to subscribe. There will be more videos like this. I'm also going to try to do more actual videos on screenwriting, so I'm moving on to doing that as well. But yeah, that was B-Boy Blues. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.